Hey there friends and viewers, this is Hengest with TGN and welcome to yet another raid boss guide here in Star Wars The Old Republic. Today I'm going to be showing you the third encounter in the Eternity Vault, and this one is rather unique in that it is not actually a boss fight, rather a boss encounter because there's no single target you're going to focus on. Now, this encounter is unique because you have to split your raid group into two equally balanced teams that are reasonably far apart. The objective is to simply properly activate two symmetrical and adjacent ancient Rakata computer terminals to access the inner fortifications of the Eternity Vault. This is done simply by arranging the colored runes or hieroglyphs to match with the center indicator by use of the two interactable units indicating right or left movements. It may sound a little bit confusing, but as soon as you touch these things, it'll make perfect sense to you. So have your ranged DPS take up this responsibility, and if you don't have one, you're going to have to use a healer. You need to have a tank at each of these computer terminals. Don't make the mistake of thinking that a melee DPS can rough it with Cerezu form or some other equivalent. The reason for this is because adds will spawn surrounding your group at this terminal, and they need to be tanked properly. In the 8-man version of this encounter, the most glaring danger is an energy shield that the Eternity Guards will cast on themselves. The ability is a 3-second cast time known as Force Barrier. These units are not elite, so the cast can be interrupted. Do your best to make sure that happens, or simply kill them before they're able to complete the cast. If the barrier does go up, you can't attack the guards until it subsides, because it will deal tremendous amount of damage to melee or ranged targets by reflecting that damage straight back at you. As I've mentioned already, these Rakata are not elite, so you can crowd control them, depending on your group's damage output. We found it easiest just to destroy them as quickly as possible, although it is easy to kite the melee targets with snares and such. After the third hieroglyph is set into place, elite proto-accolade, these spider crab looking dudes, will begin to spawn. In the current tier of gear, it's not reasonable for any melee DPS to tank these targets. However, they can be rooted, snared, and stunned. So you can have an organized rotation to manage these enemies without a tank. However, we were not successful in doing so. The most practical way to deal with these guys, even with a tank, is to simply kite them around using a snare ability to DPS them down. That's rather easy to do, actually, especially if you make use of Guardian Leap and things like that. But beyond these targets, there is nothing particularly difficult about this encounter. However, be sure to split your damage output as best as you can, and have at least a DPS role wear defensive gear for off-tanking if you don't have a designated off-tank. You'll notice that my team perishes in glorious combat shortly after activating the computer terminal, which is completing the objective. This caused the mobs at this end of the instance to run after our team on the other end, where they were eventually killed and the encounter ended. They had to res us up afterward. So, kind of a fail there, but that's because we didn't have a legitimate off-tank. Either way, guys, that pretty much sums up this encounter, the ancient Pylons in the Eternity Vault. Thanks for watching. Leave your comments and suggestions in the comments below. And stay tuned for more of this stuff to come. This has been Hengest, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.